Hello everyone and welcome to the second week of TeamieChat. And how exciting was it, Nikki? The first week we had people from all parts of the world jumping in and joining in the conversations. How did you feel about it last week, Nikki?
Well, I was kind of like, I woke up, so I'm 8 hours behind you. So all the tweets went out in the middle of my night. And I woke up and I felt like things had happened without me. I had to slow myself down and realise that I have an entire day, and just to keep the conversation alive a little bit.
I think that's what a slow chat's all about, right? It's about just taking the time to join in when and where you want to. And I think even though every day was paced with a question, it didn't matter if you popped in on the last day and answered the first question, or didn't answer question 1, 2, 3, 4 and only posed the last one. So I think that's exactly what it's all about. We don't mind. We just are excited to have you join us. Yeah, we had some lovely posts actually. Thank you everybody who posted something or commented or liked or just lurked in the background. We don't mind. But it was so lovely to see what people are doing already for inclusion in education. From comments from Ceci about she, like everybody else, is continuously learning and unlearning, and that really it's about listening and connecting to individuals and building that sort of that relationship to really sort of understand the stories behind the person. You made me think quite a lot about your story that you shared, and showing your vulnerability, and it made me feel that I wanted to do that too about my introversion, and before I wasn't really convinced that it should be under the umbrella of DEIJ, but it is part of that because it's part of belonging and belonging and feeling safe or not being hurt. It's the same. So I just wanted to flip that back to you a little bit, and if people didn't see it, I'd love to hear just a little snippet if that's okay.
Well, I always struggled at school. I was really, and I know that you're going to find this really surprising, but I was quite hyperactive, and I found it difficult to concentrate. Still the same today, very tricky to concentrate. But I also considered myself to be quite thick. And I think in those days, the languages around dyslexia were stupid, thick, an idiot. And I was either taken out of the class for periods of time or sat in the front so the teacher could really kind of put a thumb on me. I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't seem to attach the language at the front of the classroom with what the intention was, what was the purpose of it, and I couldn't seem to get those ideas to stick in my brain. But I definitely came out at 17 and felt a failure. And so it took me a bit of a journey to realise, and it wasn't until I was in my late 30s and really until I met you guys and our amazing crew of educators that we're very, very lucky to belong to, that I realised that I wasn't that person. And I was an incredibly bright person, and I have a lot to say and a lot to communicate. But there are definitely systems and structures that I need in my life in order to be able to thrive. So that's kind of really a bit of my story.
Thank you for sharing that. Just listening to different stories, it's lovely to have different kinds of aspects of belonging, really. It was obviously something that a lot of people have still got questions. There was a post from Kerry Lee where she was talking about how wonderful her school is. That's the amazing WAB. Shout out to all the WABbies out there. And I sort of posed to her, I said, it sounds to me like WAB is a bit of a beacon of excellence, in this field, and I just wondered if they might be the sorts of place that would be able to run courses or advise or coach other schools in becoming better at inclusivity.
Yeah, and they've definitely been on a journey, because I know that at WAB they're very much getting people in a room and accepting those vulnerabilities and those different voices in that room, and then muddling their way through it to work out where they're going to go. So the process has really been a journey for them.
That's the thing about inclusion. It's not just for schools. It's about everybody in all walks of life.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
All
Everyone's got a different story.
We must move on, but I've just got one tiny little snippet I'd like to sneak out of you, if you don't mind. You left a very intriguing post about voice cloning. And the reason I wanted to ask you a little bit more, because I thought it was very, very interesting in the context of last week's chat, but also it kind of links a little bit into this week's
absolutely does.
Chat subject. So tell us a quick little snippet of that.
Okay, so last week I had a brilliant conversation with Jim Sill in Australia, and we had a lovely conversation all about all walks of life, but came back to AI, and he currently is discovering voice cloning with 11 Labs. But interestingly, he started kind of looking at it, what's it removing? So he was having a conversation with his friend, Ken Shelton, and they put Ken's voice into 11 Labs, and it sounded like Ken. But it had removed something that was absolutely fundamental and vital to Ken's personality, which is his blackness. And so the voice sounded white and completely different, although the same at the same time. And I had no idea what that was. So I was kind of intrigued. And I said, I just didn't understand how that could happen. So I started playing around with 11 Labs with myself. But one of the things that I noticed was I wrote a love letter to my partner on ChatGPT. It was beautiful.
Does he know this?
And then I also got 11 Labs to record it, and I sent the recording on WhatsApp to him, and he legitimately thought it was me. He didn't think I had written it, and he did think I was playing around with ChatGPT. So that bit I didn't fool him on. But the voice part of it, he thought it was me. Although he said it sounded like I was being a bit pompous and a bit too Queen's English, and that my voice was a bit posh. And so that's really interesting, because when I've listened to it for me, and I've done quite a few things now and played around with it, it makes me sound very Queen's English, and just removes my kind of sparky personality, or my kind of anything that gives me an edge of personality in my voice. It's gone.
It sounds like it's got a fair way to go, but it does sound a very intriguing and fun thing to play with. Tell everyone about this week, Nikki. Week 2 on TeamieChat. What is it about?
This week, I'm so excited. This week's about AI, which is literally changing my life. Okay? So
everyone's life.
Oh my Lord, it's so brilliant in so many different ways.